Our solar system is incredibly old, and we can only speculate what it might have looked like eons ago. This means that although there are theories about how the solar system was formed, they are just that, theories. Some theories are more widely accepted than others, but the truth is that until someone invents a time machine, it's nothing more than a guessing game. So why not take a look at one of the most interesting theories? We're talking, of course, about the story of Maldek. Many researchers believe that a planet called Maldek was shattered into pieces long ago, forming what we now know as the asteroid belt. But what do we know about this mysterious planet? Where is the evidence? And could our own planet one day suffer the same fate? Let's find out.
51 million people entering another
surveillance camera capturing the
unidentified flying object.
lockdowns and mass testing.
Today that the world is going to end.
Maldek goes by many names, including Phaeton, Planet V, Krypton, and Maldek. As early as the 1700s, researchers discovered that there was an unexplained gap between Mars and Jupiter. As you go further and further towards the edge of the solar system, you start to see that planets are increasingly distant from each other. This is known as the Titus-Bode law. But there was just one problem. The sequence didn't follow the law. Not completely. Between Mars and Jupiter, there's a strange, unexplained gap. A planet should be there, but the only thing that lies between the two is an asteroid belt. This sparked a frantic search for a lost planet. However, researchers were only able to find large asteroids such as Ceres and Pallas. This implies that the planet was completely destroyed, and that it only exists now in pieces that we call the asteroid belt. Some believe that instead of being fragments of Maldek, asteroids like Ceres and Pallas were once its moons. These moons may have broken off Maldek's orbit before returning to shatter the planet at high speeds. Dr. Van Flandern even suggested that Mars was once Maldek's moon. Some believe that Jupiter's intense gravity literally tore the planet apart, ripping chunks from its surface and sending them hurling through space as it crumbled completely. Some believe that Maldek exploded due to some kind of internal event, such as a nuclear explosion within its core. But perhaps the most interesting theory is that it was hit by yet another large celestial object. Zechariah Sitchin claimed that this destroyer planet was Nibiru, and that it storms through our solar system every few thousand years. Young students today are taught that the solar system formed via the accretion model. This is markedly different compared to the Maldek theory. Basically, the accretion model states that everything was formed after a star exploded, causing dust and gas to accrete into larger and larger chunks, eventually forming planets and moons. But there are serious problems with this theory. How exactly do planets accrete? Does it really make sense that asteroids hitting each other at insanely high speeds would fuse together, forming one larger object? Doesn't it make sense that these two objects would instead destroy each other? The real issue is with the asteroid belt. Why is it there? Mainstream scientists explain this away by saying that the solar system has already gone through its final cooling phase, meaning that planets can no longer be formed in present conditions. They also claim that the total mass of the asteroid belt isn't enough to account for a planet. Think of it as a jigsaw puzzle. If scientists were able to put all these pieces back together, they would be left with a half-finished planet. According to the accretion theory, the asteroid belt is simply leftover mass from the formation of other planets. Extra pieces that weren't needed. Jupiter's intense gravity also prevented these rocks from forming into its own planet. But this claim doesn't take into account very few important factors. First, some of the pieces of the asteroid belt could have been sent flying out into the solar system after a planetary impact, never to be seen again. Second, some of the asteroids could have been absorbed by other planets or the Sun. If this happened, we would have evidence of heavy asteroid bombardment throughout the solar system. And funnily enough, we do have evidence of heavy asteroid bombardment. Just take a look at the moon's surface with a telescope, and you'll see just what we're talking about. Evidence of heavy asteroid impacts can also be found on the surface of Earth and many other planets. Some even claim that the shattered planet was hollow, explaining the lack of mass in the asteroid belt. But what if humans witnessed the destruction of Maldek firsthand? Consider the ancient Greek myth of god Phaeton. Helios allowed Phaeton to drive the sun chariot for one day, but Phaeton lost control of the chariot and was struck down by Jupiter, the king of the gods. Some researchers believe that the myth of Phaeton relates to a real astronomical event that humans witnessed. The idea is that people saw Maldek being destroyed in the sky, and that this experience was so intense that it resonated through the ages, carried by the symbolism of mythology. But perhaps the most famous myth on this subject is the story of Nibiru. The aforementioned Zechariah Sitchin translated Mesopotamian mythology and came to the conclusion that our solar system was very different during the time of this ancient culture. According to Sitchin, the ancient Mesopotamians believed that there was once a planet called Tiamat, between Mars and Jupiter. The planet was destroyed by another planet called Nibiru, which has a long elliptical orbit. Nibiru only enters our solar system every 11,400 years, and then it completely vanishes. Sitchin states that on one occasion, Nibiru completely destroyed Tiamat after sweeping through our solar system. This impact eventually resulted in the formation of Earth. Sitchin and another astronomer named Robert Harrington actually met in 1992 to discuss the possible location of Nibiru and Maldek. Interestingly, both the ancient Mesopotamian tablets and the astronomical data seem to correlate with each other. And this is where it starts to get strange. Sitchin had some pretty interesting ideas about Nibiru, and he believed this planet was much more than just a rogue planet. Based on his interpretation of the Mesopotamian tablets, he claimed that Nibiru was home to an extraterrestrial race of beings called Anunnaki that came to Earth in order to mine gold and other minerals. He also stated that these extraterrestrials were seen as gods by the local humans, and that humanity as we know it is actually a genetically engineered race with both Anunnaki and local ape-like DNA. He also states that some kind of galactic war broke out during this period, and a number of early human civilizations were wiped out by nuclear explosions. These tales of galactic wars are commonly associated with Maldek. There are many theories, and each paranormal researcher seems to have their own take on the matter. Some believe that Maldek was colonized by a spacefaring human race at one point, and that the planet originally featured a native population of primitive Yeti-like beings. Others believe that this native population was actually more advanced. The rest of these theories all involve some kind of galactic war that ended with the destruction of Maldek. Some believe that a massive nuke was detonated on the surface, while others believe that Death Stars were used to destroy the planet with energy beams. Another popular theory is that extraterrestrials somehow altered the orbits of planets and asteroids, sending them hurtling into Maldek on a direct collision course. At the end of the day, all theories regarding the solar system suffer from the same problem. There's no way to know for sure. As we've said before, no one has a time machine that can tell us exactly how the asteroid belt was formed. Whether you're a mainstream scientist who believes in the accretion theory or a paranormal researcher who believes in Maldek, you have to accept this fact. One thing we do know is that the asteroid belt is still very dangerous, and that our planet runs the risk of destruction every time it passes through this minefield.